Oh. This is the Sports Porch, Philadelphia, with your hosts, the Grand Schwabini, Rube, and me, your technical director. Come on, Philly. Show us a little Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now. Here we are on the Philadelphia Sports Porch, all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philadelphia Sports Porch or our X or Twitter page. I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't know what to call it. Do we call it Twitter or X? I think everybody calls it X.
I think it's X now.
Okay,
yeah,
so
you can drop the Twitter.
It's really easy, though. It's at Philly Porch. And, of course, we're a podcast. I'm going to drop live right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. I just thought I'd take that one.
There you go.
Sorry.
Good for you.
Just rolled right off the tongue.
Yeah.
I'm your technical director. Across from me in the studio is the Grand Schwabini. Below me on the screen is, yes, Rube, who is a lifelong Philly fan, now living in Texas, hating the weather there. Would you guys ever move out here to where we do the show from, do you think, Rube? Maybe we can
I think the closest we'll ever get to Pittsburgh will be Michigan. Where my lovely bride is from on the lake.
Really? Yeah. You'd rather experience the Michigan winters than the Austin, Texas summers?
Rather, let me put it to you this way, TD. Somehow or another, I've got my wife to stay in Texas for 26 years, and I think I owe her. I think, and the likely retirement spot will be on a lake up in northern Michigan, which is beautiful. So we'll have to spend the summers elsewhere.
Dell just sucks
the winters
out of you, man, doesn't it?
I don't think this has anything to do with Dell. So what you're saying is Lemmer's up next.
Lemmer's up next. We got to take care of Mama. Got to take care of Mama.
It is.
I can appreciate that. I really can.
Get in that lake, get in that canoe, get into that pontoon boat.
He has no idea.
The boozer cruiser. It's getting to be that time of life there, Schwabi.
I don't ever see you on a pontoon boat ever.
No, I would never go on a
That's
pontoon
exactly
boat.
right. Yeah. You don't even know what you're talking about when you say that. You just know it's associated with outdoor recreation.
I remember what is it called? The Great Outdoors with John Candy. They went on the pontoon. They all got leeches all over them.
No, that wasn't a pontoon.
No, that was a fishing boat. That was a fishing boat.
Whatever.
Well, I was right. He has no idea what a pontoon boat is. All right. Well, in case you don't know what a pontoon boat is,
I'm not here to fish.
It doesn't matter. We're here to talk about sports. Page 1, we're going to talk about the Phillies. Page 2, the NFL draft is a couple days from now. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but it's coming up pretty quick.
I'm aware.
You are. Page 3, we're going to talk about the Sixers and their draft odds. Page 4, Mother Russia leads all rookies in goals, and a little bit of what we're watching. First,
Mother Russia.
Let's start with page 1. The Phillies currently in second place, 2 games behind the Mets in the wild card. I'm just going to lead with this. It's still a little early.
Sure.
It's still April, right?
22 games in, though, TD. I think I've heard you say, you know what, let's get to 20 games and we can start making some making some
predictions,
judgment calls and predictions and whatnot. So, but yeah, we're still in April.
Here's what I'm going to say, Rube, just to start off. I know we've got your buy or sell segment, which is going to address a lot of these concerns. But, what we're dealing with right now is the bottom line is the Phillies right now, they're just plain annoying. Basically the Phillies make you feel like they've lost when they've won. Such as when you're up 11, what were they like up 11-5 in the 9th inning, and they had to win 11-10 because their bullpen sucks so bad. That felt like a loss, even though it was a win. And yesterday, they had a 3-0 lead. Then, they had an opportunity to win the game in the 9th, and then they lose it in the 10th to a crappy Marlins team. Sure, they won the series, but they're just giving games away. And when you give games away, when you got a quality team like the Mets in your division, you find yourself in second place, and it's annoying to me. So, Rube, you have any comments on what went down over this weekend?
Equally annoyed. As a matter of fact, since the MLB they were on MLB Network for that game on Saturday, but the local game was something else. So we went and looked on Roku or wherever, and we were able to find like MLB.com was doing like a live game. So anyway, long story short, found the game. First, when we turned it on, we were up, I don't know, 4 or 5-1. Then we went up like 9-1, 9-4. And Lemmer and I said, you know what? We're going to go out. I think the Phillies got this one. And lo and behold, we come home later, and I said, you'll never guess how the game ended, 11-10. And I said, I'm going to guess that Jordan Romano might have been in the game. And then I looked at the box score, and what did he give up? 2 like multi-base home runs?
He gave up 6 runs in the inning.
Yeah. So that was the way our Saturday played out. I was happy for the win, but not excited about our bullpen, which leads me to, how about the first buy or sell of the day?
Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies have blown an MLB worst 6 saves.
How about that?
We know it's early in the season. Is it time to panic?
Well, I would say it's not time to panic. So I'm going to sell that. I'm not going to buy.
Okay.
But this is for sure. They need to make some changes. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, I'm convinced at this point that Jordan Romano is not going to right the ship. He did have 3 scoreless outings prior to this 6-run debacle. But the reality is, like, look, you bring him into a low stress situation with a huge lead, and he just gets shelled. And he also, if you heard him talking after the game, he also seems like a guy who just seems lost out there. He's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I executed my pitches, and I threw the ball well. The velocity was good, and I just got shelled. So there, like, he doesn't have any answers. So the bottom line is, like, Romano is this year's Whit Merrifield. Just a bad signing, kind of a washed up older reliever. And so now what you have is an empty spot in the bullpen for a right-handed setup guy, or potential closer. So, it's a problem. So, we're talking now, you're probably going to wait until the end of the year or trade deadline to add a piece. And then now you've also got other things to think about that I know the Phillies are thinking about, and they could be problematic or not. Do we put Ranger Suarez back in the bullpen? It's actually not a bad idea because he's had success in the bullpen before. However, Scott Boras is his agent, and he's a starting pitcher, and he is looking to make big bucks. So I don't know if he'll be thrilled about going to the bullpen. I've also heard now the idea of maybe we should get more innings out of Andrew Painter and put him in the bullpen for a year, and have him as come up as a starter the next year. And it's not like that's completely outlandish rather. The Tampa Bay Rays did that with David Price. He came out of the bullpen his first year and then went into the starting role. It's also been done in reverse, where you had like John Smoltz went into the bullpen later in his career. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like, you got a guy who is, they're basically projecting to be, a top of the rotation starter. Do you want to mess with that?
No.
I mean, I say probably no is what I agree with. So yeah. I threw out a bunch of info there, Rube. What are your thoughts, and you can chime in as well, TD.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it is time to panic, and we talked a little bit about this last week, which is you just don't get your velocity back in the middle of the season, right? We saw it with Taiwan last week, and of course, I jinxed Taiwan, and he had a bad outing, but he turned around and had a good one the other day.
Yeah.
Shoulder stiffness. Not sure what that means, that they had to pull him after 56 pitches, but he looked decent. So maybe if he's okay, maybe he goes back to the bullpen. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's time to panic with this bullpen, because not only have we blown the most saves in MLB, but I think our ERA is like 29th. The only team worse than us, I think, is the Marlins. The Marlins or the Nationals, one of them. So what do? I think we're going to have to get creative. And to your point about Ranger Suarez, yeah, listen, it's winning time, and you got to do what the team needs you to go do right now. But I understand Scott Boras isn't going to like it, but tough noogies. It's a team sport.
Tough noogies.
Tough noogies.
Tough noogies.
That sounds threatening.
We're laying down the wall.
Yeah.
It's what we do down here in Texas.
The way I feel about it right now, and you're right, Rube, 20 plus games in, 22 games in at this point. Scored 103 runs, the most in the East by far. So the bats are, they're doing pretty well.
They're picking up.
But also giving up 101 runs. Now, not the worst. You've got the Marlins and the Nationals, both 113 and 116. But +2 in the run differential. I stick by this kind of stuff. We're 22 games in. The Phillies are +2 in the run differential. The Mets are +30. So, I mean, that's when you start to see separation. I mean, it just goes,
right.
Well, that's so is it, let me just finish. Is it time to panic? No, I don't think it's necessarily time to panic yet, but there is cause for concern. So that, panic time, no. Concern, absolutely.
And that's what's frustrating is, like when you're up in a game 9-2, that's where you're supposed to add to your run differential, not come out of it +1.
That's exactly right.
And that's the bullpen is just, and it's ridiculous. I mean, like, what are they still? Are they 13-8, 13-9?
13-9.
So 13-9. They're actually in a wild card position. If the season ended today, they'd be in as the third wild card. And I mean, they're still right there with this crappy bullpen.
And by the way, before Lemmer and I left for the afternoon, we saw this Hernandez joker gave up 3 runs.
I don't even know who the hell that is. He's
so we picked him up off of somebody's heat pile,
trash pile.
Yeah, and there's a reason why he was available. And so I think this going on the cheap and trying to find these gems, I think we've run out of luck in our bullpen, because this Hernandez guy, the Romano guy, what do we do?
Yeah, well, and the other thing that's problematic about it is, when your bullpen starts sucking like this, then guys like Strom and Alvarado have to come in when they shouldn't have to. Right. Like Alvarado had to come in and face a batter to get a save the other night in the 11-10 game when he has no business being in that game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, it's just, it's a little frustrating right now. I'm holding out hope that Dombrowski actually does something this year.
Okay. And speaking of which,
yes,
let's move on to another buy or sell for Rube. Rube's buy or sell, Jordan Romano is cut before June.
Cut before June.
I have no opinion on that.
He's on a 1-year deal, right? So,
I think he gets cut in July. So I'm going to say he survives June.
So you're selling.
You're selling that.
I'm selling it.
You're selling it, but lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why July? Why July after the All-Star break?
Because I believe that's when they cut Whit Merrifield last year. So I think that they're going to give him a little bit of time. And I did hear Dombrowski Now, of course, what's he going to say? He's going to say positive things, but he was still very much of the mindset of, hey, we think he can put things together. We still have a lot of confidence and belief in him, blah, blah, blah. So right now he's not ready to let him go anytime soon. So he'll probably give it a little bit of time, see if the back of the baseball card, comes through for him.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start cheering for the guy. What do you think? Do we give him the old Trey Turner love?
Give him the standing ovation.
Give him the standing O and get a little juice behind his fastball. What do you think?
No.
If he needs that much motivation every time he pitches, we're in big trouble.
So, Rube, I'm thinking you're buying this. That's why you put it out there.
I do. Listen, from what I've seen from Jordan Romano this year, it's all been bad. I haven't watched every game. But listen, you have a couple more of these outings. I don't think you wait to pull the plug. I think you bring somebody up from the minors, you put Ranger there, whatever the assortment of ideas that came from the Grand Schwabini, you got to start playing with that before it starts getting too late into the season.
Okay.
So, let it rip.
Buy or sell, Rube says Mets sweep the Phils this week. This is a big series. Tonight's game is what? It's starting soon, right?
I would sell that. My prediction is that the Phillies will take 1 of 3. Now, look, I mean, the bottom line is, anything could happen. They could sweep them. They could get swept. It could be anywhere in between 1-2 wins. I'm just saying, based on what I'm seeing in terms of the Mets playing better ball than the Phillies, and the Phillies having a bullpen issue right now, I can see it as, the Phillies will get a good starting, a good start from one of their big 3, and maybe we'll win that game. We'll probably lose the other 2, like 6-5 or 8-7.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, who's having a hell of a year for the Mets is Alonso.
Yeah,
he's hitting the ball well.
He's the guy they didn't even want to bring back.
I know, 346, 6 home runs, 24 RBIs, 453 on base percentage, 27 hits. He leads the team in all those categories. And he was my second pick in my fantasy baseball draft. I picked Kyle Schwarber first. I don't know if I told you guys that.
He's having a good year.
Not a bad year for him.
Yeah. What say you, technical director? You think the Mets sweep the Phils this week?
No. I mean, it's hard to sweep anybody unless you're playing the Pirates. Which is true. But no, I think the Phillies come out of this with at least 1 win. And going back to what we were talking about before, is it time to panic? No, it's time for concern. But this is the kind of series that you don't want to get swept in, even at this point in the year.
Right. Because the bottom line is you're 2 back right now.
Right.
If you get swept, you're 5 back.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yeah.
And the West is going to get the majority of the wild card the way that they're all playing. So I think you got to win the division this year in the East.
Yeah, probably. Well, right now you're not, and that's what you know. What I don't like this. No disrespect, Schwaber.
Yeah.
I don't like this. Like we're in a wild card spot right now, kind of stuff in the beginning of the year. Because in the beginning of the year, you're not playing for a wild card spot. You're playing to win the division. You start looking at that, in my opinion, you start looking at that after the All-Star break, because at that point,
it's a loser mentality, Schwabini.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say that, but
it just means you're in the top 6, right?
Well, yeah, I get it.
Top 7 or top 6.
That's why I was saying, like, I don't necessarily think you actually are thinking that.
No,
like, yeah, we're in a wild card. But even saying it, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, but it doesn't mean anything. So you really have to. So they have to win. They have to win at least 1 game. If they do get swept, then we're getting close to panic time. I think, because now you're 5 back, like you were saying,
right?
Yeah.
Like you were saying. So all right, Sports Philadelphia at Philly Porch on X, at Philadelphia Sports Porch on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. We just went over page 1. That was the Phillies. What's going on? Now we got a lot of stuff coming up here. We're going to go to page 2, Eagles draft rumors. Will these players be Eagles come Sunday afternoon? Why did you mean Sunday? Did you say Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I meant Sunday because, things will happen over the course of the draft.
Right. Oh, you mean by the time the draft is over?
By the time the draft is over.
I wasn't sure. Yeah. I just want to make sure. But the first thing we're going to talk about here is obviously
Eagles extend Cam Jurgens for 4 years. They make him the second highest paid center to Creed Humphrey of the Kansas City Chiefs, but the richest in terms of guaranteed money in the history of the center position. I say well-deserved. Cam, what do you say, Rube?
Yeah, he was in my top 10 of most irreplaceable Eagles, and I believe that to be the case. And he didn't miss a beat this year without a Hall of Famer coming right behind him. So pay the man and solidify that position for the future. No brainer. Great call. Good job, Howie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you guys more. I mean, he stepped in. Kelsey he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
He stepped right in. They won the Super Bowl.
Pro Bowl.
You can't you can't argue with extending a guy like that this early. So
and he was playing hurt in that NFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So that's right. He was playing hurt. So great move. Classic Howie move. Keeps that line solid.
Fortify that line.
Okay, let's talk next about this. This was a rumor that I heard going around. About A.J. Brown, that if Abdul Carter falls to number 4, there's going to be a big trade with the Patriots, and the Eagles are going to send A.J. Brown to the Pats because Mike Vrabel misses him dearly.
He does.
And
sell.
Go ahead.
Why do you say this doesn't happen?
I say it doesnn't happen because we were 16-0 with this guy on the team last year on the field. Number one. Number two, I was reading something today that there would be no financial real benefit of letting him go. We would have to eat more cap space than it's worth. And I also heard Schefter said something today like it's likely not going to happen. So I don't know how you let go of a wide receiver in his prime, versus someone who hasn't played a down in the NFL yet. We are a better team. We are a better team with him on the field, even if it's just a threat of throwing the ball to him. So I say sell all day long, and I'd be pretty disappointed and shocked if they did that.
I agree that that's what will happen. However, I agree that it's going to happen because I believe that the draft is going to go as follows. Number 1, the Titans are going to take quarterback Cam Ward. Number 2, the Browns are going to take running back, cornerback Travis Hunter. And number 3, the New York Giants are going to take Abdul Carter. Now, if the Giants don't take Abdul Carter and Abdul Carter is there at 4, I'm giving it a 50-50 shot because from what I understand, they're in love with Abdul Carter. It's kind of like he's projected to be the next Micah Parsons, Lawrence Taylor, et cetera, right? He's an absolute beast. He's going to dominate this league for a long time. And, he's on a rookie deal and it's an area of need. And, look, let's be honest. You won your Super Bowl with A.J. Brown. And he's got a lot to do with that, and he would be a huge loss. But at the same time, he is a pain in the ass. He's gonna read his book on the sideline. He's gonna, say that we need to improve the passing, and everybody's gonna say like, oh, he's not getting along with Jalen, and then. The bottom line is maybe if they did that, then that opens up room to keep Dallas Goedert, and maybe that allows Devontae Smith to kind of rise to another level because he can get more balls thrown his way. I also come down on where you are, and I say I can't reasonably agree to trade A.J. Brown simply because, he's just always open. And all you have to do is throw it his way. You don't even have to worry if he's being covered. He usually boxes his man out and catches the ball. So it's such an incredible weapon. But, it wouldn't surprise me, though, just because he's kind of a malcontent. You know, and look, I mean, Vrabel loves him, and look, usually a number 1 receiver is not going to get traded for the number 4 pick in the draft. It's still, that would be considered like, you shouldn't give up the number 4 pick in the draft for a number 1 wide receiver.
No.
But I think the Patriots would actually do it. I do. I think, you know, Vrabel would probably explain to, you know, Kraft, like, hey, look, man, I'm telling you, we traded him in Tennessee and it was all over for us. This guy's a difference maker, you know? So I'd say it's a 50-50 shot if Abdul Carter is on the board, but I don't think he will be on the board.
Okay, so I think your explanation of this, or your scenario, kind of convinced me that it's a possibility. But before I heard you tell your side of this, my initial thought was, when I heard this rumor a couple days ago, was there is no way. You know, I mean, you don't get rid of one of the cornerstones of your offense for the last couple of years. But now, you know, you give the scenario. I won't go over it again, but it's kind of compelling, because I look at it. He was tied for 37th in the league with 67 receptions last year, 17th with 1,079 yards, 21st with 7 touchdowns, and 30th with in average yards per reception, 16.1. So it's not like you're giving up, you know, like Stephon Diggs in his prime, or Justin Jefferson.
Well, his numbers are like that because they're run focused.
Well, I get it. But what I'm saying, though, is that that's not going to change.
Right. That's not going to change. And that's going to make him mad.
Right. Of course.
You know,
and so those to me are plug and play numbers. There's a lot of talented receivers in the league. And if you run the right scheme, they get open. If your quarterback knows how to play and everybody else is on the same page, those are plug and play numbers. You're not giving up a 1,500, a Jamar Chase. You're not giving him up.
Well,
you know?
I mean, the year before, though, he was at 1,500.
I get it. Yeah. I totally get it. But they didn't win the Super Bowl the year before.
Yeah, well,
you know,
true.
so that's
I'm not
going to say.
Here's a little.
Go ahead. Yeah, no. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen.
Right.
Because I think the Giants are going to take him. They like Penn State players up in New York as well.
Right.
But the thing is that if that scenario happens, and it is available, you throw those stats on to the fact that Mike Vrabel loved this guy in Tennessee and apparently was really upset that he left. So go ahead, Rick.
I'm going to read a quote from Eagles Wire. According to Over the Cap, trading Brown would create an almost $43 million cap deficit and a nearly $60 million dead cap hit. That alone is enough for Philadelphia to ignore any discussions, and that's before GM would try to justify trading a top 5 wide receiver in his prime and the quarterback's best friend.
Okay.
Now we saw the drama last year, but you know what? Maybe it was intentional. Maybe it was, you know what? Put all the heat on AJ Brown and and let Jalen do his thing and I don't know, but they're not going to take 60 million.
That sounds like some Dell speak.
They're not going to yada yada yada.
That
60 million.
That sounds like a staff meeting with Rube.
60 million.
To satisfy the customer this way, you're going to make a phone call and That's Rube all the way. Sorry.
$60 million dead cap hit.
You're right. I mean, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah, not happening.
No way.
Okay. All right. So we made compelling arguments, but the business side of it says, Okay. Dallas Goedert and Bryce Huff. What are we looking at here? You guys, I haven't heard anything about this just because I live in a bubble.
I mean, they want to get rid of Bryce Huff because he was essentially a bust. I'm sure he can play. He probably just doesn't play well in the Eagles system. And they would love somebody to take the contract, but I don't know that anybody wants him. So I would imagine they won't be able to trade him. And Dallas Goedert, you know, unfortunately, I think he may just be the victim of a numbers game.
Right.
You can only pay so many people. You know, Rube pointed out last week, you got to pay Jalen Carter. You got to pay eventually Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and, you know, and on and on. So, you just paid Juergens today. So, can everybody get paid? No. And I think that the thing that's a shame with Dallas Goedert is I truly believe if Dallas Goedert, let's say if Dallas Goedert was on Kansas City and there was no Travis Kelce on Kansas City and Dallas Goedert could stay healthy, he'd be like a top 3 tight end in the league. No, I feel no doubt about it. But he can't stay healthy. That's his big problem. Every year he misses games. And on the Eagles team, I mean, he's option 4 at best.
Right.
Barkley, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, he's number 4. So you're not going to get a lot of balls when you're the 4th option.
And I think what we're going to miss, because it does sound like, for all intent and purposes, he's gone. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and for what. We're going to miss his blocking because he's a beast of a blocker.
Right.
And, I think you can find anyone to go run routes and catch a ball, but we're noticeably not as good a blocking team with him not on the field. So the question is now, then what? Do we draft somebody? Or do we, one of the myriad of tight ends we picked up in the offseason in addition to Calcaterra? Calcaterra did play all right.
Well, but that's exactly it. Calcaterra can catch the ball, but he can't block. But I have seen some draft boards with the Eagles focusing on, I believe his name is
Colston
Loveland from Michigan.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland or something.
Yeah.
And he actually seems like he's really damn good. So they see him as like the next best tight end to obviously the guy from Penn State. He's set like records at Michigan for tight ends. So he could be somebody, and he can block and catch. So he's almost like an exact Dallas Goedert replica.
Yeah. If you recall last week's buy or sell, the Eagles will draft a tight end with their number 1 pick this year. And I believe I heard a sell from at least one of you guys. Is that changing?
I still think
not for me.
I still think they'll go defense.
Yeah, me too.
Defensive end.
Defensive end, defensive tackle. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
But you never know.
I agree. Okay. How about this for a rumor? Now, I just laugh at this.
Did you start this rumor, technical director?
This is not happening. There is absolutely no way in hell.
I don't have the Photoshop skills to put this together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
No, I mean,
TJ Watt is not being traded to the Eagles.
Yeah,
it's just not.
I would doubt it, but let me at least just put some pieces together for you.
Okay, you
paint the picture. Paint the picture.
Yeah. So to put the pieces together, all right. We obviously know with Josh Sweat gone and BG retiring, the Eagles could use an edge rusher, right? We also know that the Steelers could use a 2nd-round draft pick or even a 1st-round draft pick, right? We also know that the Steelers have not made any progress in negotiations with TJ Watt. Now the Steelers have proven to us over the years that they will continue to overpay for a player that's a great player, but possibly in decline. So chances are that he will remain on the Steelers. But if the Steelers start getting smarter about the way they run their football team, they might look at it and they might say, you know what? TJ Watt is, on the downside. Didn't play very well the last 7 games of last year. We could trade him, maybe get pick number 32 and maybe the Eagles' 2nd-round pick, get ourselves a 2nd-round pick this year. And, maybe a 3rd or a 4th next year. And we got ourselves a deal.
Yeah, that sounds great if you were the GM of the Steelers, but you're not.
How do you pay him? But how do you pay him? How do you pay him though? With all these other guys,
anybody we want to pay, we can find a way.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I did see. Speaking of paying, finding a way. I saw an interview with Steve Young when he went to play for LA in the USFL, and he got paid $40 million, and everybody was, giving him shit for it.
Uh-huh.
He was like, it wasn't really $40 million. It was an annuity. So that just to your point,
right?
He didn't get rich right away. It took a while, and some of that money,
deferred compensation.
And some of that money he never got because the league went bust. So,
but let me ask you this, Rube: if that was the deal, if the Eagles acquired T.J. Watt for number 32, number 64, I guess their second round pick, and a fourth next year, do you like it or do you dislike it?
My initial gut says I like it. You're adding a proven pass rusher to a team that's ready to win now, that lost, 2 or 3 pieces off their defensive line. Kind of makes sense. Couldn't argue. You've painted a very compelling picture.
Yeah, I mean, does it make sense? Yeah.
I just worry about, all this season, all this off season, we're talking about the money. And if he is on his downside, would we be better off going and drafting like a Walter Nolan? And putting him next, or
starting safety Malachi Starks and then a starting tight end in the second round.
Yeah.
Or would it be worth trading for him, paying him so you can win back-to-backs?
Right. I mean, that's another way of looking at it.
But no guarantee. It's one player.
True. But that's, listen, you got to listen to me. I know who the player is. Mm-hmm. Last year, I knew it was Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
And this year, if the Eagles, this is fantasy land, but if the Eagles traded for TJ Watt, I think they'd repeat. Because I think, Watt is, coming from where we come from, where we watch him every day, every single sports story on the radio here is about him for the most part, every other one, or Sidney Crosby. It would be smart for TJ Watt to accept a trade like that. It would be smart for him to say, sure, I'll play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you don't have to pay me top dollar.
How old is he?
He's 30.
He's over
this year.
Okay, yeah. So he's not a young dude anymore.
No, and truth be told, he can disrupt, but it's been really hard to see how effective he is in a game, because he can change a game, but the Steelers offense has been so pedestrian the last 3-4 years that he'll make a game-changing play and then they're 3 and out. It's not like they can jump on it and take advantage of it. Whereas a team like the Eagles, or a team that has a real offense and a good offense, they turn around and take advantage of it. So do I think it's going to happen? Hell no. Because Schwaber's right. The Steelers, they got a problem here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers ownership, it's third generation. They think like the first and second generation, but times have changed.
Right.
TJ Watt, as HJ has always said, is the face of the franchise. And the Steelers, they pay the face of the franchise whether they're worth it or not. So they're going to come to an agreement by the time the season gets started.
Yep, I agree.
They're going to overpay him. He might have a great year this year, but it'll be his last great year. So he's never going to be an Eagle.
Yeah. I think if he's over 30, I don't know how much I like that. I don't know how much I like that.
Now here's the
options. I like the other guy we're going to talk about though.
Yeah. Now here's the next option, which would be Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year. The Bengals have an aversion to defense.
Very true.
So, since he's the only guy who can play defense, they can't possibly have room for him. They paid both the receivers, right? So look, I mean, obviously he's trying to work out a deal to stay there, but we've all heard that they are he's a potential trade candidate, and to be honest, I would actually probably prefer him to TJ Watt just because I believe he is younger. Is he?
I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure that out right now.
He's 30.
He's 30.
Is he 30 too? Okay.
30, yeah.
Yeah. Same. So you got the same situation there.
Yeah, but I think either way though, I don't think any of this is going to happen. Number one, because I don't think the other teams are going to move off it. Certainly not the Steelers. And then number two, I just think that, look, the way that Howie has drafted the past several years, he's thinking his first round pick and his second round pick are starters and maybe Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
So why would I give up two for an aging one?
Yeah.
Right. Did you know it was something like
they're going to cost a lot? That's going to cost a lot.
Howie is the first general manager to draft a Pro Bowl player in the second round 4 years in a row.
Wow.
Are you serious? Who are the other ones? I know Cooper DeJean. Who are the other three?
Well, one of them. Well, no. It was. One of them is not really that deserving. Miles Sanders was one. Then it was obviously Jalen Hurts, Cam Jurgens, and who was the other one?
Was Cooper DeJean a Pro Bowler?
I don't think so. Was it the person from last year or not? Who did we draft in the second round last year? I can't remember. No, it was Cooper DeJean.
It was Cooper DeJean, yeah.
It was him. So it was probably the 4 years before that. So it's Sanders, Hurts, Cam Jurgens, and
some other guy.
Yeah, some other guy.
All right, let's look at it. Well,
Rube's looking it up.
He's looking it up.
Was it Nakobe Dean?
No, not Nakobe Dean.
He didn't make the Pro Bowl, did he?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nakobe Dean was third round.
Well, we don't want dead air, so
yeah, we don't need
that.
that.
Yeah, you guys looking. You guys talking.
If you figure it out, you let us know.
Yeah. If you figure it out, Rube. All right, moving on to the next page, page 3, Sixers draft odds. Mercifully, the NBA season is over for the Sixers.
Well, here's actually something that I think is worth discussing.
Right.
That really nobody has talked about. The fact is that the Sixers still could completely lose the pick. The pick is only good. It's only top 6 protected. So what I didn't understand was I thought if you finished in the bottom 6, which they did, that you keep the pick. But no, it's where you position after the lottery. So if they, look, there's only about like a 35% chance that they'll be 7th or 8th or 9th lower. But if they are, like if a bunch of teams leapfrog them, they could completely lose the pick. And that would be just icing on the cake.
Well, yeah, but honestly, we've talked about this. We talked about it last week. I mean, it's just another reason that the NBA is
stupid,
ridiculous. I mean, you want to talk about overcomplicating something,
right?
I mean, in the NFL, if you're the worst team in the league, you get the first pick,
right?
Okay, now I look, there's basketball's a different sport.
Well, but I do like it in the NFL. There's no protected picks,
right?
That's stupid,
right? And you could trade. You could do whatever you want with the first pick. You could trade it, and get a haul, get a player. Doesn't matter. But the NBA, this whole garbage, it makes it so difficult for somebody like me who was a huge NBA fan up until about 15 years ago. It makes it difficult for me to want to jump back in because there's nothing compelling about it. It's like now we've got to micromanage it all the way down to let's try to get fans who are interested in the percentage chance that you could have this pick or lose the pick or it's a protected pick. Who the fuck cares? All right.
Landon Dickerson.
That's right.
Landon Dickerson. There you go. Yep. All right. Yep. Thank you, Rube. So anyway,
but so what do we do? So let's assume it stays the course and we're numbered and the Sixers get the number 5 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And who everything I'm reading is this kid Trey Johnson that's coming from Texas, who's a great scorer.
What do you think about Trey Johnson since you're right there in the neighborhood?
I think he's a great scorer, but I think Texas didn't do jack. Right. So he didn't make everybody else in the court better. I don't know how much of that was coaching or just other talent, but yeah, the kid can score, but okay. Is that worthy of the number 5 pick? Is that a difference maker? I don't know.
Well, the bottom line is the thing that's so
We need to hire someone with an IC at the end of their name. We need like a Jokic or a Lucic.
and that's the thing with basketball, because these guys don't play in college for 3 years. Nobody knows who the hell these guys are.
Right.
And nobody really even knows if they're any good.
Well, that's why the NBA is. That's why the technical director and yours truly can't stand it anymore, because we don't even know. We couldn't name the last 5 number 1 draft picks.
Right. All we know right now is that Cooper Flagg's pretty definite to be at least a solid pro, right? You know what I mean? That's about all we know. I mean, if you think about it, like these guys do come up from nowhere. Like, remember, like a couple of years ago, that Cade Cunningham was a number 1 pick.
Well, but he also played at Oklahoma State for a number of years. He's a good player.
I think he only played 1 year.
All right, I'm gonna look it up.
As a matter of fact, he might not have even played college ball. Are you sure?
No, he did. He played for Oklahoma State. I know that to be sure.
But like that dude, I looked at his numbers, in the playoffs, and like he's a superstar. But like we don't even know who the hell he is. Who's he even play for? Memphis, Detroit? I don't know.
Detroit. How could you not know that?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are just. We have no idea who the hell these guys are. And you know what? There's probably going to be some guy who's from like Slovakia who's going to go number 11, who's going to be a bigger star than anybody in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just have no idea.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State 2020, 2021. Consensus first team All-American and Big 12 Player of the Year after his freshman season with the team. So there you go.
So HJ says Cooper Flagg will be the number 1, and he wonders if I'm looking at any of the comments. So there's your answer.
Tell HJ to give us something compelling. We all know he's going to be number 1. Give us something else, HJ.
I think you just told him. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I look forward to the NBA retooling itself. I think I don't know what's going to happen.
They're never going to retool themselves. They got a horrible commissioner who has no clue what he's doing. They've watered down the product. They've made it so that the regular season is meaningless. Nobody even wants to play basketball anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, think of it like this. Like somebody was talking about, there's a new documentary out,
right?
Which follows Steve Kerr coaching the Olympic team,
right?
That just won the Olympics in basketball. And I heard somebody on the radio, they were talking about, Steve Kerr went through 6, 7, 8 year stretch where he played 82 games a year.
Right.
Like nobody plays 82 games now.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, it's the same thing with, now Major League Baseball is not suffering the way basketball is, but that's my concern. I mean, you look back in the day before all of these advances in healthcare, these guys are pitching 200, 250 innings, 270 innings. They would have 10 complete games. There was one year Jim Palmer had like 20 complete games.
Right.
I mean, you're telling me the medicine was better and the training was better back then? And my fear is that that's what Major League Baseball is doing to itself now with all of these different changes coming on and the rest days and all that. So, yeah, the NBA is, it's bad. It's bad. Shay wants to know if we saw Harden blow it versus Denver. And how happy you were about that.
I did not see that, but that does not surprise me.
It does not surprise me. That's right. Hey, let me ask you guys something here, and we'll go ahead and hit the HJ comment, and then I'll ask you the question.
That right there?
Yeah.
You see Harden blow it versus Denver?
Well, no, Schwabi, you were going to say something else. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, go ahead. You speak.
So speaketh.
Verbalize.
Use your words, Rube.
Yeah.
Use your words.
So I'm looking at the top 5 prospects for the lottery, and some say like high ceiling. Another one said high floor. what's the difference? Like, what does high floor mean versus high ceiling means sky is the limit. I got it. But what does high floor mean?
High floor means he's not going to suck. He's going to at least be average.
He's not going to be a bust.
He's not going to suck that bad.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Translation, we don't want high floor guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's number 5, what it says here. Trey Johnson, Texas guard, a skilled guard with a knack for scoring and a solid all-around game. Johnson is another player with a high floor.
What is he, 6 foot and 150 pounds or what?
No.
We already got a couple of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Let's see. I'll get his stats here in a second as you guys talk Sixers or the draft. But
all right, let's go to Mitchie.
All righty, let's move on to our next. Our next. All right, here we go.
Mother.
Gets it in front to Couturier. Couturier for MICHKOV. He scores! Matvei MICHKOV, his 2nd of the night, his 26th of the year to lead all rookies in the NHL, and it's 4-2.
All right, so there you go. So MICHKOV finished the season leading all NHL rookie hockey players in goals scored. He tied with Macklin Celebrini for the most points at 63, although he did play about 10 more games than Macklin Celebrini. But also at the same token, MICHKOV had very low ice time on ice compared to Celebrini. So he really kind of fought through a lot. So what Steve's saying, Lane Hudson, was he the goaltender? I think he's the goaltender rookie. Not really sure. Can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway,
I just want to say, I think HJ's picture on there, it looks kind of like a Tinder ad.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
Would you swipe left or right with that right there?
I wouldn't even swipe.
But
anyway, so good news, in terms of look, good rookie season for MICHKOV. I really like his attitude. I don't know if you caught this, Rube. Did you hear Travis Konechny talking about MICHKOV after the season? He's just like he's the only guy that I've ever played for that absolutely wants to be the best player in the world, and was really disappointed with his season. Thought he should have scored a lot more.
Yeah.
So he's got the right attitude. Now it's up to the Flyers to get him a center to play with next year. If you could put a quality NHL center between him and Konechny, that's going to be a hell of a line going forward. So Flyers have to make a lot of moves. They need a goaltender. They need a coach. They need a power play quarterback. And look, they've got a ton of draft picks and they've got some cap room. And so now it's time to start trying to win. We can't say we're building every year. So this summer,
the subtracting's done. The addition needs to start.
Yeah, I want to see it start now.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, by the way, Trey Johnson, 6'6", 180. You were close.
Okay. All right. Then I'm interested.
It's got some size.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to page 5. What we're watching. Schwaber, you want to take us away for this?
Sure. So now is the time of the show where we are here for you. We understand that it can be very trying to find that show to make your evening enjoyable. And boy, when you can't find that show, boy, does it stink. I mean, you've worked hard all day, and then you find yourself in front of the TV and you look to your significant other and you just say, what was that? Well, no more, because we are here to tell you what to watch, what not to watch, because we're experts in this field. And we will tell you, go or no go. Just listen to us and let us guide you.
All right, let's start with Rube.
So I am a big fan of the Bosch, the original series, and Legacy hasn't been too bad. too bad either.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys feel? Did you watch the original Bosch?
Yep, I've watched everything. I'm on episode 3 of Bosch Legacy season 3. Right here with you.
I watched the first Bosch, and I think I watched 2 episodes, like season 1 of Bosch Legacy, and it just didn't keep my attention. Doesn't mean I won't go back and try to, you know, but I was like, because when you first described Legacy, you were kind of like, it's really just Bosch.
It is. It's Bosch. I mean, it's not a new Bosch. It's just it's still Bosch.
Right.
It's Hieronymus Bosch. He's still the same guy, but he's in a different role.
Yeah, he is. I mean, the one thing that I did find a little bit hard to buy.
Well, let's let Rube give his review. Let's do that.
Let's do that. You're right.
Let's do that.
Rube, I want to apologize.
Oh, listen,
apology out of Schwaber. This is amazing.
You see, you know what, we're here to guide, guys. It's okay. I asked what you thought, so it's okay. So listen, I know what the Grand Schwabini is going to say. He's going to say, I always bought the Bosch role. It's good. He's like this tormented war veteran cop who never wants to let anything go unsolved, and that's kind of, you know, how ultimately the season and the series will end. Just a little foreshadowing for you. But what I don't buy was his daughter as the cop.
Exactly it. That's exactly it.
You did say that.
Yeah. She tries a little too hard to just kind of be tough, and she just doesn't look tough at all.
No, she's too skinny.
Yeah, she's too skinny. So I don't buy her in that role. It annoys me a little bit. I love the relationship the way it was, not kind of what it played into. The Honey Chandler thing, you know, was, you know, going for district attorney. I think that makes sense. I like her role. And Bosch, like Lemmer said it the other night, he's just like, there's nothing that can make him smile. And so the other thing I think is he's just a little too tormented. Maybe he needs to lighten up just a skosh. But listen, it's good TV. Bosch, I'm always going to be a fan. And I'd love it if it continued, but I think this is it.
Yeah, I think this is it.
All right.
Yeah.
Bosch
Enjoy Bosch Legacy.
Okay, the Grand Schwabini. Now, don't reveal too much because I haven't watched any of this yet, and it's on my list.
I won't. The White Lotus season 3. It's in the books for the Grand Schwabini.
Nice.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Now, have you paid any attention to sort of the reviews of this season?
No.
Okay. So the reviews of this season are, it's not very good. So, and a lot of what I had heard, I believe it's 10 episodes. If it's not 10, it's 8, but it's something like that. And what a lot of people were saying, like around like the 6th or 7th episode, was like, nothing's happened.
Yeah, I have heard
that, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
So
but just that.
So here's the thing. So I'm going in with low expectations, which is always a great way to go in.
Yeah, very, very true.
So I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, look, now, was it as good as season 1 or season 2? It wasn't.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good, and I recommend watching it, and I will look forward to season 4. It's a little bit of, there's a little bit of a different wrinkle this go around.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of the characters were very entertaining. There were certainly some things that you didn't see coming, and I enjoyed it. So if you like White Lotus season 1 and season 2, if you go into season 3 without expecting the moon, I believe you will catch a shooting star.
What happened? I have no comeback for that. I just can't.
And that's why he is the Grand Schwabini.
That is true.
That is correct.
I did really appreciate season 1. Thought it was fantastic. Schwaber said in season 1 there was a guy who he said was me in that season, right. And I unfortunately I kind of agreed with him, but I didn't like myself any better after seeing that.
Which one was, what was the family? So I've only seen a couple of episodes. My son said, hey, let's check it out. And it was the one with the dad, who was the mom, but she was all about work all the time. and they had the 2 kids, and the girl brought one of her girlfriends with
That
her
was
on the
season.
ship.
With Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah,
That was season 1.
season 1.
That was season Sydney.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What? So who were you supposed to be? The dad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the dad of
Yeah.
those 2 girls.
Good guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be
Okay.
true.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get paid the way that dad got paid.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
that's it.
Hey, by the way, tune in on Thursday night. We are going live at the NFL Draft. The Grand Schwabini will have full coverage. TD will be there. We might get some guest appearances. Hockey Jesus might be putting down the hockey stick for the night and talking some NFL. And Rube, we don't know quite yet. But if you want to come on in for a couple minutes, come on in.
Yep.
It's going to be a rip-roaring time.
If you want to sit around with us and watch us eat pizza while you eat pizza and talk about the NFL draft, YouTube is going to be the place to be on Thursday night.
Or X.
Or maybe even Facebook. We'll see what happens there.
Right, yeah.
All right, thanks for watching the Philadelphia Sports Porch all over the world on X, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And, of course, I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get
your flippin' podcast.
Got to change that up somehow. For the Grand Schwabini, across from me, Rube, down in Texas. I'm your technical director. We'll see you next Monday night, every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm out.